Recently, there's been a lot of thoughts broadcasted in articles, in videos, or on Twitter by people who are in places of power, which are worrying me greatly. It is the idea that you can justify violence against somebody based on what they think or the speech they use. This all has come to light after Richard Spencer, a self-proclaimed leader of the alt-right, was punched in the face while on video by an anarchist at one of the protests against Donald Trump, the President of the United States. The justification for this is that he is a Nazi, and therefore, because of his ideas, he should be punched. So let's get into why this worries me. It mainly comes down to what has happened over the last 10 or more years where words are being expanded in definition. One of the examples which has been twisted in the last few years is the definition of racism. If you talk to the majority of the population, racism will mean to them the discrimination of a group of people based on the color of their skin. But what has happened with a minority of the population on the fringes is that the definition has become prejudice plus power, meaning that you do not have to discriminate against someone, but if you are in a position of power, therefore you can be racist. It's a classic example of a word being changed depending on who you talk to. Because of this, many people talk about racists, and they do not mean what you would believe a racist is. There are some people who believe disagreement with a group like Black Lives Matter can be deemed as racist. We have seen the word racist being used to shut down debate. All you have to do is look at Tommy Robinson, Douglas Murray, Thomas Sowell, and Sam Harris. These are individuals who have been shut down from talking about their life experiences, or how they see the world because they are racist. This has been happening for a long time, and thanks to the internet, people with differing views can get their ideas out there, which is why there are a lot of people who are now coming forward with different views. If we look at many universities now in the US, Canada, and the UK, we have people being banned from speaking under the guise of hate speech. Now, this is another term that has been expanded to be molded to whatever a person wants it to be. The reason why this is worrying is because it can be used to shut down debate of a topic. Let's say you don't agree with global warming or climate change. Where can you debate that? Not in many universities, because it goes against the narrative. It means an idea can go unchallenged and can become mainstream thought. Now, I believe in global warming. I've looked at the data and the studies, and to me it looks like it's happening. Another idea that is floated out there, which there is no evidence for, is the wage gap. Now, in mainstream thought, there is a perceived notion that if a woman did the exact same job I did, she would be paid less for the same work. Now, this is untrue, but it is part of the mainstream thought. If you listen to the DNC speeches, it was a core point. If you look at the British or Canadian Parliament, it is mainstream thought, even though there are laws against that type of discrimination, but for some reason, it is a line that politicians use. In my opinion, it is because it is something they can take credit for solving, even though it is already resolved. But the reason that these ideas are allowed to stand without criticism in the public sphere is because whoever opposes it is deemed a sexist. The same has happened to the definition of a Nazi. Recently, especially since the start of the US presidential elections, the word has been thrown around a lot because racist and sexist are not as powerful anymore, so you have to go to the next extreme. We have seen many people called a Nazi, including President Donald Trump, and that is because people are making the word malleable to fit their agenda. Because of this, anyone can be deemed a Nazi, making it okay to punch anyone. Now, this should be a worry to a lot of people, since it can be a justification to attack anyone they want, as long as they can justify in their own minds to commit violence against whoever they want. Hopefully this will help you understand why expanding definitions of these words can be very harmful, and will always end up in the shutdown of debates, and ideas come to the fore which may be completely wrong. Now recently, we have had an escalation of the belief What I mean by this, where before people were okay with shutting people's voices down if they disagreed with them, now they are finding it okay to be violent against them instead. There is something that Douglas Murray said, and I will paraphrase him here. Once you lose freedom of speech, it will lead to violence. Basically, what he was saying that once people are not able to debate or are not able to discuss ideas and thoughts when only one narrative is allowed to stand, there will be violence by people who do not believe in the narrative. And on the other side, to keep the people from speaking out or to oppress them, violence has to be employed to stop the information leaking or to stop ideas being discussed. If you look at the Nazi occupation of Germany, or of other countries in Europe they invaded and took over, you would see that if you were seen to be attacking or debating the ideas of the Nazis, you were taken away. Many people focus on what happened to the Jewish population in World War II, but people forget what happened to the people who spoke out against the Nazi regime. They were either killed or put in camps. They were taken away for their opinions and ideas. Even if you made a joke about Hitler and somebody found out, you were taken away to a camp. The same thing happened in the Soviet Union under Stalin. All you have to do is research the Road of Bones. This is why you cannot physically attack people for their beliefs. Their actions, absolutely. But if someone is speaking out in a way that you disagree with, you have to fight words with words instead of with fists. If you do push for violence, all you will do is push these ideas into the underground, where they are not challenged and they will grow. If you send ideas underground, they will prosper, as they will go unchallenged, just like the ideas on the surface, and they will attack each other because both sides are indoctrinated into their beliefs. There are many of these examples. In recent times, the easiest ones to point to are Islamic extremism. If you are not allowed to debate the ideas, it will grow. There is also the idea that if you punch someone, people will start to believe there is a reason why they are suppressing this idea, and they'll look more into it and start believing there is a reason why it is needed to be suppressed. So it must be true. All of this is dangerous, instead of just being in a public forum and letting the ideas be debated. I hope this has brought some clarity to what I feel about the idea of punching Nazis, but in conclusion, it is a bad idea, and there are many instances in history which back up my claim.